Every night, an estimated 22 million Americans strap a mask to their face and trust it is healing them. But before they open their eyes, a transmission has left the bedroom. Breathing patterns, compliance hours, intimate biological data sent to a corporation while they slept. That is not even the worst part. Inside millions of those same machines, industrial foam was slowly releasing carcinogens into the very airway it was built to protect. The company knew. They ran a secret internal investigation, and they kept selling. In this investigation, we will expose exactly who built this system and how it operates. We will show you why the machine on your nightstand is a reporting device before it is a medical tool, and we will reveal what thousands of patients have already figured out to fight back. Here is how they locked your lungs. Sleep apnea is a real condition. When the airway collapses during sleep and breathing stops dozens or hundreds of times per night, the consequences, stroke, heart failure, cognitive damage, are well documented and serious. The CPAP machine genuinely helps millions of people breathe through the night. That part is true, but everything built around that machine has been engineered to extract money from the most dependent patients in American medicine. Two companies have controlled this system: ResMed, headquartered in San Diego, and Philips Respironics, based in Pennsylvania. Before the events we are about to cover, together they commanded 80 to 95% of the global CPAP market. ResMed alone posted $4.685 billion in revenue in fiscal year 2024 at a gross margin of nearly 60%. For every $1,000 machine sold, the cost of building it is approximately $400. Now consider this. Industry insiders estimate the raw parts cost of a standard CPAP at between $25 and $30, with about $5 in assembly labor. The machine retails for $800 to $1,500, and Medicare does not let you simply buy it. It rents the device to you over 13 months before ownership transfers, billing your insurer every single month. ResMed openly describes this in investor presentations as a razor and blade model. The machine is the razor. The ongoing consumables, replacement masks, tubing, filters billed on a manufacturer-designed schedule, are the recurring blade. Before we get to the modem built into that machine, the decade-long cover-up, and the underground network of patients who figured out how to dismantle this system, we need to start where the money first enters, at the diagnosis itself. The sleep apnea diagnosis is built on a number called the Apnea-Hypopnea Index, your AHI, counting breathing interruptions per hour. Score 5 or above and you qualify for a diagnosis. Score 15 or above and the condition is classified as moderate. Those thresholds sound like the product of decades of careful clinical science. They are not. The original 1976 definition required 30 full apneas per night. By the 90s, that bar had been dramatically lowered, and in 1999, a guidelines committee put the new thresholds into official policy while acknowledging in the published record that the cutoff of 15 events per hour was, their exact words, just a convenient midpoint because currently there are no data available to indicate an appropriate distinction. They were admitting in writing that the number sending millions of people toward a $1,500 machine was, at the time, a guess. Then in 2012, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine changed a single technical scoring rule. The threshold dropped from a 4% to a 3% oxygen dip. 1 percentage point, that single change doubled the diagnosed patient pool overnight. Reanalysis of major population data showed moderate to severe prevalence jumping from 22 to 45% of adults. Under current criteria, 50% of men over 40 qualify for a diagnosis. One researcher from Ghent University called those rates implausible and stated publicly that right now there is no real evidence for the criteria used to diagnose the condition. Who wrote those criteria? The American Academy of Sleep Medicine, the body that literally defines what sleep apnea is and tells doctors how to treat it. And who funds the American Academy of Sleep Medicine? ResMed, Philips Respironics, Fisher & Paykel, and a device company called Zolidamar, which paid $60,000 per year for platinum sponsor status. The organization that defines the disease is funded by the companies that sell the cure. The federal government recognized the conflict. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services explicitly prohibits sleep labs from both diagnosing patients and then supplying their own machines. specifically because, in the agency's own words, self-interested suppliers are motivated to conduct more sleep tests than are medically necessary and to interpret results with a bias toward prescribing CPAP devices. That narrow restriction was the only one. Everything else remained perfectly legal, and once the diagnosis is made, the machine is waiting, and so is the antenna inside it. Every modern ResMed CPAP contains a built-in cellular modem that activates the moment the machine starts. Without any action from you, a compliance summary is transmitted to ResMed's cloud platform called AirView, where your durable medical equipment supplier, your doctor, and your insurance company can all access it. A 2018 investigation by ProPublica and NPR documented exactly how this works in practice. A Texas man named Tony Schmidt was shocked to discover his insurance company had been monitoring data from his machine every night. A Blue Cross Blue Shield spokesperson confirmed that tracking patient compliance and cutting off coverage to those who do not use the machine enough is, in their words, standard practice. And not using it enough means this: Medicare requires at least 4 hours of use per night on 70% of nights within a consecutive 30-day window during the first 90 days of therapy. That threshold was not derived from evidence about what produces health outcomes. It emerged as a bureaucratic cost control measure after Medicare sleep study spending nearly quadrupled in under a decade. Fail the threshold and Medicare stops paying. The DME supplier can repossess the machine. You start over. You might think, at least I can see my own data. At least the machine tells me what is happening in my airway. Think again. The data you actually receive is a score out of 100 in a smartphone app. The same machine recording your precise breath-by-breath waveform, every micro-event, every apnea time to the second, gives you a cartoon summary. ResMed's newer AirSense 11 now ships without an SD card by default, pushing patients entirely into the cloud where they see less about their own bodies. This is the identical move car manufacturers made when they deleted the transmission dipstick. Remove the access point, create the dependency, monetize the gateway. But what Philips Respironics did is something else entirely. This is not a company that withheld data from patients. This is a company that knew its machines were releasing carcinogens into sleeping patients' lungs and kept selling them for a decade. Starting around 2008, Philips used a polyester-based polyurethane foam, the same industrial material in furniture cushions, inside CPAP, BiPAP, and ventilator devices to muffle motor noise. The foam had never been validated for long-term use in a breathing pathway. When exposed to heat, humidity, and the ozone-based cleaners many patients used, it degraded into black particles and toxic gases, including known carcinogens, pulled directly through the air path into the lungs of sleeping patients. The first complaints reached Philips in 2010. Black shavings in the chamber, a persistent chemical smell. By 2015, the company had at least 25 formal complaints on file. That same year, a foam supplier warned Philips in writing that humidity could degrade the material in as little as 1 year. Internal testing confirmed degradation in 2016. A 2018 Philips engineer email, later unsealed in court, read, "The material sheds and is pulled into the air path. This is not a good situation for our users." Philips launched a secret internal investigation. They called it Project Uno. They did not recall the devices. A retired graphic artist from New Jersey named George Bales used a recalled Philips CPAP for 6 full years. He developed stage 4 throat cancer. He now eats through a feeding tube. His words, "No one ever informed me that this machine might be killing me." George Bales was not an isolated case. He was one data point in a complaint file that Philips had been deliberately suppressing since 2010, and in 2020, it got worse. As COVID-19 overwhelmed hospitals and demand for ventilators skyrocketed, Philips accelerated production of machines still containing that same degrading foam. Operating profits from CPAPs and ventilators soared to approximately $800 million, more than double the prior year. CEO Frans van Houten told investors that response from customers remains very positive, resulting in market share gains. No mention of Project Uno, no mention of the internal assessment that had already concluded these machines posed a risk of, in Philips' own words, serious injury, life-threatening or permanent impairment. The foam was degrading, the complaints were varied, and the profits were doubling. The recall finally came on June 14, 2021. 5.5 million devices in the United States alone, 15 million worldwide, including approximately 700,000 machines used by American veterans. The FDA classified it as Class 1, the agency's most serious recall designation. Here is the scale of the cover-up that made it possible. Between 2010 and April 2021, 11 years in which Philips had been receiving thousands of complaints, the company submitted exactly 30 medical device reports to the FDA, reporting 0 injuries, 0 deaths, 3,700 complaints silenced while the machine stayed on the market. An investigation by ProPublica and the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette confirmed the systematic suppression, establishing that Philips had violated the federal law requiring companies to report serious incidents within 30 days. By early 2024, the FDA had received over 116,000 adverse event reports and 561 reported deaths connected to those machines. George Bales was never warned. Not one of those 561 people was. The financial reckoning has been significant. Philips agreed to a $479 million economic settlement and a $1.1 billion personal injury settlement in April 2024, without admitting fault. A federal consent decree bars Philips from manufacturing or selling sleep therapy devices in the United States until the FDA certifies compliance, and it names the sitting CEO, Roy Jakobs, personally. Franz von Houten stepped down in October 2022. A Department of Justice criminal investigation remains open as of 2026. No executive has faced criminal charges to date. Meanwhile, the patients handed this system are fighting back, not through lawyers, through code, exactly the way farmers jailbroke their John Deere tractors. A free application called Oscar, open source CPAP analysis reporter, reads the proprietary binary data on your machine's SD card and displays the same detailed therapy analysis your doctor sees. It was created by an Australian developer named Mark Watkins, himself a CPAP patient. He embedded a message inside his own source code. Mark Watkins created this software to help lessen the exploitation of others. When Watkins stepped away from the project, community volunteers forked the code and kept it alive. Today, tens of thousands of patients on forums like Apnea Board share the exact button combinations that unlock the hidden clinical menus their manufacturers deliberately buried. Security researcher Trammell Hudson went further with a project called Airbreak. He reverse-engineered a ResMed AirSense 10 and proved in open, documented code that the basic CPAP, the mid-tier BiPAP, and the premium IVAPs all share identical hardware. Every sensor present, every function built in. The only difference is a configuration file. The premium price is not engineering, it is a software permission slip. And here is the detail that locks the entire picture shut. In January 2026, ResMed CEO Mick Farrell was appointed chair of AdvaMed, the largest medical device trade lobby in the United States. AdvaMed's official position is that medical devices should be fully exempt from right to repair legislation. They have won that argument in every state that has passed a comprehensive repair bill to date. New York, Minnesota, Colorado, and Oregon all contain the medical device exemption. The CEO of the company, whose machine transmits your sleep data to your insurer every single night, is now running the lobby that ensures you will never legally own full access to your own breathing device. Here is the verdict. If you use a CPAP machine prescribed in the last decade, you do not fully own it. You are the primary user of a reporting device that transmits your data to corporations empowered to decide whether you deserve continued care. You have two choices. First, download Oscar. Your machine records far more than it shows you, and you are legally permitted to access the clinical settings. You own the hardware. Read what is on the card. Second, contact your state representative and demand that medical device exemptions be stripped from every right to repair bill that moves. They rigged the diagnosis. They locked the data. They buried 3,700 complaints for over a decade while the profits doubled. They cannot take away the card in your own machine. Take your mask back. If this investigation opened your eyes, hit subscribe for more stories like this one.